All right, good morning, everybody. Welcome back to Facebook Live with Track Shack. I am Chris. I've been gone the last couple of Facebook Lives, so it's good to be back. Joining me today is our good friend, Dr. Podschun from AdventHealth. We're going to be talking Shin Splints, and we're talking Shin Splints because that's what you told us that you want to hear about, and that's what this is all about. You know, we're here to let you know about upcoming events, products in the store, all of that stuff, but we're mostly here for you. We've got our deep dive topic that we get into every month. We always want your feedback on what that topic should be. We want your feedback on what we're doing well, what we could improve on, and hopefully today y'all enjoy what we have for you on Shin Splints. So let's just get right into it, Laura. I've got some housekeeping notes at the end, but we want this to really be focused on the Shin Splint topic today. So what exactly are Shin Splints, Laura? Is that something that it can be answered with one kind of simple definition, or?
It can. So shin splints are basically, it's typically an overuse problem, and it's an inflammation of the muscles that sit either on the outside of your shin, your long bone, your tibia, or the inside. So you could really have a medial or a lateral shin splint, and it's really kind of sits in a continuum of you can develop this overuse problem, you get inflammation just like any muscle or tendon, and then if it continues to progress, if you don't address it, it can become a stress reaction or, worst case, a stress fracture.
Okay, and you know, I want to focus mostly on the shin splints themselves and on the treatment, but those are two important words I think that you just brought up, because sometimes when folks come in the store and they tell us they're having shin splints, and we really dive into having them describe it specifically, it gets a little scary. It sounds like they might be moving into that stress reaction phase. So what are some signs that that's what's happening? Because obviously that is happening. Folks maybe want to take a little time off, sit on the shelf, maybe need to see an orthopedist. So what are those defining boundaries to know that we need to look into that?
Things that you really want to be careful of. Typically, if you're feeling that shin pain come on, you want to treat it. Don't kind of ignore that. And
sure.
More often than not, people respond to the treatments that we're going to go over. If you're not responding to that, then I would suggest maybe take some time off. Or if your area of pain was really large and now it's really intense, but it's getting to be a very small pinpoint area, you probably want to get that checked.
Okay, interesting. So as kind of the range of where you feel the pain narrows down, if it's isolated to one really small spot,
right,
that's a telltale sign that it might be getting worse.
It could be worse.
Interesting. Okay. Obviously, we see runners, walkers primarily with these injuries, but are there certain kind of everyday activities, work fields that can cause this as well that people should be aware of?
Absolutely. So because this is an overuse problem, oftentimes you'll see it with military recruits because they suddenly have a big jump in their training.
Sure.
Anybody who does a lot of standing or walking, especially on really hard surfaces. So if you work in a warehouse where you're on concrete flooring all day, something like that, that could also lead to it.
Interesting. Well, within running and walking specifically, when we're dealing with athletes, do you find that certain foot types and certain kind of landing patterns as people run, when the heel comes down first, if they're landing more forefoot, things of that nature, do you find that there are certain kind of differentiators that make someone more likely to get shin splints than not?
Yes, and it's kind of the two extremes of the spectrum. So probably clinically the thing that I see the most are the person who has a really flat foot.
Sure. And
the reason they'll develop the shin splints, and they tend to get the shin splints more on the inside, is that when they land and they're kind of getting their foot down onto the ground, because their foot's flat, they have further to go. So the muscles that sit right here, they're what control that. So they're just having to go a whole lot further, faster. And that's where sometimes doing some sort of orthotic or going to a motion control shoe to kind of slow that down really helps. The other end of the spectrum is the person who has a really high arch. And because when you have a high arch, your foot is a nice rigid lever, but it's not a very good shock absorber.
Sure.
So then sometimes you need a little bit more of a cushioned shoe, or if you can get an arch support that kind of comes in and fills in the whole.
So I happen to have, I think, exactly that arch.
Yes,
I've got a very high arch.
Yes. So you
I am pretty bow-legged as well, so I tend to supinate, right? I land way hard on the outside. And I wear a high cushion, a more neutral shoe to absorb that lateral impact. I've found though, and especially because I am not like your typical 130-pound runner, right? Once upon a time, but with that high impact, a shoe that's too soft sometimes isn't ideal either. I want a lot of cushion, but I want it kind of on the firmer end of the spectrum, so that you don't sink and kind of push over that lateral edge.
Yeah, and also if it's too cushioned, then all the muscles around your shin are if it's so cushioned, they're actually what are working to kind of control that, and
Sure.
then you can get overuse.
Yeah, and real quick, just because you touched on insoles, I do have, and as far as a more collapsing arch, we do, you know, obviously we've got a range of stability in our shoes, and we're going to look at that for folks, just like with that high arch, we're looking for that lateral support. But for a high arch like myself, anytime I have a shoe that feels like it's not filling that arch up, Curex is what I go to, the Curex high in this instance, because I have a high arch. There's different heights depending, but yeah, if you're looking to kind of fill that void, but not change your foot landing, because if you put something like, say we've got super feet here, these are great for that lower arch. They're going to take that arch that's collapsed and they're going to push it back to a neutral position, but if I put that under my already high supinated arch, it would turn it further outside. So something like Curex is going to fill that arch void and disperse the pressure more evenly, whereas Superfeet's actually correcting for that pronation. So those are some good over-the-counter brands if you're having these symptoms that we do have here.
Right, and the nice thing about that is that, say you just got a new pair of shoes and you want to just try to make a correction, you could maybe do your correction with a orthotic. Or if you're kind of coming up, you know you need a new pair of shoes, you might be able to get the whole correction just by going to a more, from a stability shoe to more of a motion control shoe.
Yeah, and that, you know, ultimately is our goal. We try to get you in the shoe that gets everything done, but if there's that little extra we need, those are two products we really like that can kind of, you know, help give you that little bit of extra support or just fill that void if you've got that super, super high arch. So obviously, like I said, runners, walkers, the folks we see with this the most. That's a really good question. All right. I'm going to take a quick detour because we got y'all's questions coming in and we want to get them answered. So someone asked about Zensa helping shin pain. So shout out to Zensa and my man Zev down there in South Florida, one of our favorite partners. Zensa makes amazing compression sleeves. Compression is something I think symptomatically can help with shin splints, and this is my own answer. I'm going to let Laura give you a much more technical one. I don't know that it's going to ultimately treat it as much as some of the exercises we'll be going over later on here, but I think it can definitely give you some symptom relief while you're running by increasing that lymphatic circulation. Is that?
You're exactly right.
Okay, all right.
Yeah, and there's no studies that would say it's. I don't think it's the way that you want to necessarily treat your shin splints. I have had some patients that find it comfortable. Conversely, if somebody's really tender, they almost don't like the compression. So I think that's kind of it's a personal choice.
Yeah, definitely. Okay. Yeah. No, very good question. Now, one kind of commonality we see with folks coming in that are having these issues is that they're either newer to running and walking, it's a new exercise routine, or they've gone from like 5K training to marathon. There's a new kind of big jump in their training, and so can you explain why that's commonly associated with shin splints?
Because shin splints is an overuse injury, that's really why when you have a big increase in your workload, your body, the muscles really need kind of the time to adjust to the extra demands. And so if you make a big jump, they don't necessarily do that. You get some inflammation.
Sure. All right, well, if you're just joining us, folks, I'm Chris Hughes here with Dr. Laura Podschun, AdventHealth Physical Therapist. We're talking shin splints. We've kind of gone over the causes, the definition, and what we want to get into now, Laura, I think is the most important part of this, and that's treatment, right? So if we're feeling that we do have shin splint symptoms, how can, first of all, most importantly, how can we be proactive? All right, so if you're new to the sport and everything we just said, you're not feeling any of it, what are some stretches, exercises we can do to make sure we don't get shin splints?
So if you have any sort of soreness right after your run, something like that, I would recommend that you ice that area for about 10 minutes just so you can minimize any possible inflammation. And then some of the things that I would suggest, you can do massage of the muscles here. So you could kind of, depending on if you felt it more on the inside or the outside.
Sure.
The nice thing with this is I can kind of do my own massage.
Yeah.
It's fantastic.
R8 roller, one of my favorite places in the store.
Or I could go this way. Ooh, that's kind of sore. I'm not doing that one.
That thing is serious, yeah.
All right.
We introduced Laura to this guy this morning, so she's learning just how much of a massage you can get with
I'm
it.
just going to take it home with me. But this is really nice. And again, I think the massage that you would want to do, I would do that probably after your run.
Yeah.
You don't necessarily want to do that right
Sure.
before.
Would you recommend, sports massage, going to see a massage therapist?
I personally go. I feel like it's very helpful. I mean, it's not necessary, but
Right.
it's if you can do that, if you have the capability for that,
Sure.
that's definitely great. Another great stretch, and again, most of the stretches I really recommend that you do after your workout when the muscles are heated up, so
Right.
they're going to stretch better.
Right.
Is I really like to stretch the muscles here I will get down, kind of get my feet back and sit back on your heels. That's a great way to stretch those shin muscles. And with any stretch, you really want to stay probably about for 30 seconds, and you could then just let the pressure off, and I typically do about 3 of those.
Okay. Now, some of the stuff that you're doing, obviously we're talking about being proactive right now. We're talking about one of the prevention splints. Are those tools that can help if you already have shin splints as well to get better? Is it the same type of stretch you would want to do if you do have the symptoms?
Exactly. If you start getting those symptoms, those are the first things I would do. And I would ice. I would kind of look at my shoe wear and kind of make sure it fits for your foot structure. You could certainly do the massage. The other thing that I would suggest is that you probably, because it's an overuse problem, it means that those muscles may not be able to take the forces that you're placing on them with your activities. So I often will also do some strengthening exercises for the muscles that sit right here. So you could use a strap like this, kind of put it around your foot, and you can kind of hold here. I like to point my foot down, and this is working those muscles that attach kind of right into the shin.
Very cool.
Then you could kind of flip it. You can hold it.
All right. I got one good arm.
There you go. And you could go the other direction as well. And with the strengthening exercises, I don't usually, even with my patients, I don't necessarily tell them how many to do. I like for people to go till they feel like the muscle's just getting tired. So that way you know you're working to fatigue. That's telling the muscle you need to get stronger, and that'll help you then with your
You probably don't want to push it too far past that fatigue, right?
Exactly. And it's fatigue, not pain.
Yes, that's a very good point, I think, Laura. Amazingly, too, every one of those products that she's used is available here at Track Shack. So, we've got more questions, which is awesome. So, proper way to use a roller for the shin area. I think it depends on what kind of roller you're using. So, you saw Laura with the R8. The R8's amazing because it can get your calf and the back like she's doing, as well as that peroneal muscle group in the front. That lateral shin tightness is in that peroneal area. You can also get the sides with that, so on that medial tightness. But if you've got a basic, a simpler, just kind of standard rolling massage stick, you can just apply it to those areas. So on that medial side, turn it into the edge of the leg like Laura just did for the peroneal side. It's like you're kneading bread, right? You're just gonna roll that out.
If you have like a foam roller and you want to use your foam roller, what I've typically done is I'll kind of, perfect.
I shouldn't have reached with the right hand, but it's getting better.
I didn't say anything. Oftentimes then what I'll do, depending on which side is more tender, you can do your foam roller where you kind of go this way as well. So I can get the outside, I can just roll and get the inside this way. So you don't necessarily, if you have a foam roller, you could certainly do some of the same things we were demonstrating.
For a deeper, someone's feeling like they're able to, would you recommend laying, you're kind of completely spreading out and putting more weight down on the shin? Yeah, that's what I'll usually do, is just be in kind of that almost full plank position. Oh, well, that's a fair question. I had to get carpal tunnel surgery because I have the wrists of a 70-year-old secretary, apparently, at 29 years old. But I'm healing up, guys. This thing comes off Friday. It could be worse.
That's awesome.
Well, look, I mean, I think we've covered treatment, which is the most important component. Are there any just kind of key highlighter points for shin splints that you would want people to drill into their head, like a 3 or 5 basic principles, like identifying symptoms, most important stretches, most important things to be cautious of as far as making sure it's not a stress reaction, stress fracture?
I think first thing is I would definitely kind of just make a note of the type of foot you have and make sure that your shoe wear really kind of matches your foot.
Yeah.
That really helps keep you out of trouble. Also being aware of kind of increases in training, being careful to kind of stick with that tried and true rule of probably don't want to increase mileage more than 10% a week so that you can kind of allow to build up without the risk of overuse.
Yeah.
As soon as you feel those symptoms, ice it, try the stretches, massage. I would try to do the strengthening. If you're just getting started to running and you maybe had shin splints back in high school or something, so you know you might have a tendency for it, I would go ahead and start the strengthening, even if you don't have the symptoms, just to kind of keep you
Get fit for a pair of shoes, probably at Track Shack, right? Make sure you're in proper footwear before you start.
Exactly, before you start. And then when you are running, kind of, making a good choice with the surface that you run on.
Yeah,
So
and that can be tough in Orlando,
it
right? We're in a
is tough.
concrete jungle, so that's
Yes.
that's a good point. Like asphalt, for example, softer than concrete.
Yes, it is.
You can be on the road and not the sidewalk. Do know, folks, that when you're on the road, cars have more right-of-way law than you in the state of Florida. That is important, but it is softer. But we do sell the strap. Every product you've seen today, we sell. So yeah, if you're having those symptoms, come on in and we can get you hooked up for sure. But yeah, trails, right?
Yes.
Asphalt if you can instead of concrete, all softer surfaces.
Yes, and even in Winter Park, probably if I, because there's so much brick, the uneven surface of brick, your foot's working so hard on
Yeah.
that. If I have the choice of concrete, like sidewalk versus brick, I would pick the sidewalk.
Yeah, same. Yes, me as well. Definitely. Awesome. Who exactly diagnoses Shin Splints?
Well, actually, most people, because there's not a lot of other problems that go
Sure.
on right there, so oftentimes it's something that people can almost self-diagnose.
Right.
But if you're not responding to kind of some of the treatments that we talked about, you really probably want to go see an orthopedic sports medicine specialist.
Sure. I know both Laura and myself have a lot of good relationships with folks over at Jewett as far as orthopedists go. But there's a ton in the area. Obviously, see who's in your coverage network, see who's close to you. But Laura, I think that's it on Shin Splints. You have been awesome. Thank you so much for joining us. I do have a couple quick announcements, folks, before we wrap up. And if you are just joining us, I'm Chris, and I've been with Dr. Turner Podschun, AdventHealth Physical Therapist. Go back, watch from the beginning if you are just joining, because there's been some really good stuff on Shin Splints today. But coming up, we have got a group run next Wednesday, February 27th. We have that every Wednesday. So if you're looking for some folks to run with for free, it's a blast. I'm always out there. Not running this week. I'll be back running next week when this thing comes off. But on the 27th, we are having our kind of team captain kickoff run with Brooks for our IOA corporate 5K. So if you're a team captain, you're invited to come out and bring members of your team as well. Hang out with some of us and some representatives from Brooks who are doing something really awesome for the IOA 5K as well. In our store right now, if you buy a pair of Brooks shoes, Brooks is donating 10 meals to Second Harvest Food Bank. I don't know if we're able to get a shot of our wall and how many have already been donated, but come in, you'll have you fill out a little piece of paper, and we're gonna litter our whole back wall there with donations of meals to families in our community, and that's really awesome of Brooks. Beyond that, Smile Mile coming up March 2nd. Always great for the kiddos. That's one of my favorite events to go out and work and just watch those kids give everything they've got. It's always a blast. And then there will be a race walking clinic on March, but there's no number. That's second as well. Also the 2nd. That's going to be our good friend Rob Carver teaching that here in the store. Winter Park Road Run 10K is coming up, a road race. That's going to be March 23rd. So registration is already going to start filling up. Jump on, check it out. The challenge should sell out fast. Really cool medals this year. We hope to see a lot of you out there. And I believe that race is sponsored by AdventHealth. But that's it for today, folks. Laura, thank you so much for joining us. I hope that was insightful, informative. I hope it was what you guys wanted as far as Shin Splints, and let us know about topics in the future. You know, we're here to help you out. So thanks for joining us.